In 1954, Paul Desmond sat down with legendary saxophonist Charlie Parker for an interview. Parker told Desmond when he was a child he used to practice the saxophone 11 to 15 hours a day. The saxophone is an instrument that has a rich history in American culture. After this presentation, you will know a brief history of the instrument, how the saxophone works, and you will know different types of music associated with the saxophone. In 1841, Adolphe Sax invented the first saxophone. Adolphe was son of Charles Sax, who was an instrument maker, and they lived in Belgium. In 1846, the first patent was filed, and he had an entire family of saxophones. There were 14 different instruments in the patent, and they originally had 19 keys. Today, the modern saxophone has 23 keys and 12 to 13 additional keys for trills and alternate fingerings. The saxophone is made of brass, which is an alloy of copper and zinc. It's about 70% copper, 30% zinc usually. Although this is a brass instrument, it does not belong to the brass family, like trumpets, trombones, tubas. It actually belongs to the woodwind family. The reason for this is it uses a single piece of cane called a reed to produce the sound. So how a saxophone works is the player breathes into the mouthpiece, and this causes the reed to vibrate. The reed's vibration is what creates a sound wave that travels through the neck of the instrument, into the body tube, and then out the tone holes. The distance that sound wave has to travel determines the pitch that's produced. The longer the distance, the lower the pitch. The shorter the distance, the higher the pitch. When you press down keys on a saxophone, it covers the tone holes and makes it so that the sound waves have to travel a further distance before they come out and produce the pitch. So the harmonic series is really important to why the saxophone sounds the way it does. So a saxophone is really similar to a clarinet. One of the main differences is the clarinet is made of wood and the saxophone is made of brass, but that doesn't really have that big of a difference on the sound. The main difference, what causes such a different change in timbre, is the saxophone has a conical tube while the clarinet has a cylindrical tube. So conical is like a cone, so the diameter gets bigger, while a cylindrical tube is the same distance or the same diameter throughout the entire instrument. So the harmonic series, in a nutshell, is when you hear a pitch, there's the fundamental, which is the lowest frequency, and then on top of that, there are harmonic overtones that we can't really pick out, but they're there, and that's what causes the different timbre or sound in an instrument. It's the reason why a saxophone sounds like a saxophone and a trumpet sounds like a trumpet. Even if they play the same pitch, you can still hear a difference in the timbre. So the first overtone is the lowest frequency. Then the second harmonic is exactly double the frequency, and that is an octave. And then 3 times the fundamental is a perfect fifth, then a fourth, third, second, and it just goes on forever. But our ears can't really hear that. It just changes the timbre. So the presence and the prominence of these overtones is what determines the timbre. So there are different types of music associated with the saxophone. The most popular type of music associated with the saxophone is definitely jazz. 2 saxophonists that are legendary jazz saxophonists that everybody should know is Charlie Parker, who invented bebop, and John Coltrane. There are also virtuosic saxophone players who play classical music. Marcel Mule and Eugene Rousseau are a couple classical saxophonists that are totally virtuosic. They're incredible. But there's also saxophone found in pop music. David Bowie actually played the saxophone, and you can hear him playing the saxophone on his song Modern Love. And Phil Woods, who is an incredible jazz saxophonist, played a pop saxophone solo on Billy Joel's song Just the Way You Are. So now that you've listened to this presentation, you should know a brief history of the saxophone, how the saxophone works, and different types of music associated with the saxophone. My references for this presentation are an article titled A Brief History of the Saxophone by Donald Edward West, another article titled Adolphe Sax, Inventor of the Saxophone Family by John Burnot, and an interview with Charlie Parker and Paul Desmond from 1954. Thank you.